So many of you have come up to me and told me, hey, I wasn't even praying 5 months ago, or I wasn't even wearing hijab a year ago. And it's not like the change is complete. You're still changing. You're still on the road to change. The problem happens is when we see the world and we see that it's getting worse, right? And disobedience to Allah is increasing, and chaos is increasing, and shamelessness is increasing, and disbelief is increasing, and confusion is increasing. We get depressed because we see the big picture looks worse and worse and worse. And when you look at the big picture, it does look pretty depressing. And what that does is it makes you blind to the individual changes, because it feels like the individual changes are not enough, because real change is when it happens on a very large scale. If you think about the life of the Prophet ﷺ, if Allah wanted big change to happen from the beginning, Allah would have sent the Prophet ﷺ to the economic or the political capitals or centers of the world. But Allah sent the Prophet ﷺ to a place that was not an economic player, not a political player, not a social player, not a cultural player, not an educational center. It was not a contributor to the world. You could say about the Chinese, they were contributing silk, or they were contributing other fine goods or arts to the world. You could say things about the Romans, the Persians, the other civilizations were players on the world scene, right? In trade, in craft, in civilization, and empire building, all of it. What were the ancient Arabs doing in the desert, right? They were not players on the world stage. So, and even the changes that the Prophet brought, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Quran that kept teaching this message. What are some of the Quran's greatest heroes? There are people like Nuh alayhi salam. And if you study the life of Nuh alayhi salam and you say, I want to see the big change that was brought by Nuh alayhi salam, like what's his progress report after 10 years, after 50 years, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 950 years? Where's the progress? You didn't even make progress with your own son? What is this? You don't call this, but they are heroes in the Quran. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, this is called the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam, couldn't even convince his own dad, could he? And Yaqub alayhi salam couldn't convince his own sons for a long time. He couldn't do that. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to the Quraysh, and the vast majority of them for the first 13 years, did they believe or not? No, the vast majority of them didn't believe. But the few people that did believe, are actually the reason we're Muslim today. Those few people. What is the Quran teaching us about change? Change does not come at the hands of the millions. Change comes at the hands of the few. It is actually individual transformation that is vital. That is the most important objective. Actually, the victory from Allah and the millions of people accepting Islam and all that stuff, that's in the hands of Allah. That's in the hands of Allah. What individuals have to experience, and the missions of the prophets is actually to bring about an individual transformation.